Hey folks, Steve here. How you doing? Hey, as you can see by the title, this is going to be like a pros and the cons of this particular smart trailer. I've had this trailer now since 2019 and it is now 2022. So I've had this thing for a long time and I've really gotten used to it and it's really part of my workflow now. And I've dialed it in quite a bit. But there are pros and cons to having a trailer like this. So here's the stats of this thing. So this trailer here, it's a Look Element SE, Look is the brand, and it's a single axle trailer. It is 6 feet wide, 6 feet tall, and it is 10 feet long, but it does have the V-nose to give you just a little bit of extra length in the front. And I'm okay with that V-nose. Actually, I find that as a pro because it's extra room that I wouldn't have had it been a flat nose trailer. I probably wouldn't know the difference because this is the only trailer I've ever owned, but I do like that extra. And I'm okay if I have to build something up there, I can figure out angles. It's what I do. I'm a contractor. I can figure out angles. I can make that work. All right, made some notes so I wouldn't forget. So pros. What I love about this trailer is that it is actually small, which is contrary to what I'm trying to do eventually, which is to get a bigger trailer. But this thing being small, it's actually very easy to park on job sites. I can get it into a driveway, and all of this. I can park it in smaller places. So I do appreciate that. And I know I'm going to give up that luxury if I go to a 12 or a 14. A 12 or a 14 is not that much bigger, but it's bigger. Duh, Spence, it's bigger. So anyway, like I said, I can get it onto a job site. This trailer is very, very organized, and so I can find anything I need at any point. It's very well labeled, like the Batcave from the 1960s Adam West Batman show. And it's over-labeled, so anybody can go in there, and with a little bit of scouring around, you can find it because it's on a label somewhere. And those cubbies, those tool cubbies in there, that's amazing. That's an amazing thing for tool storage and tool organization, and I will always do those cubbies again. Matter of fact, I'm about ready to build those cubbies for my walkout basement in a little wood workshop area. I'm going to build actually cubbies in there. I love it in the fact that when I need a tool, it's in there pretty much. It's very few tools that I actually leave back in my shed when I'm going onto a job site. So my tools are going with me. Love that. One big thing for me, and it came out of when I watched the Paulk video series when he was doing a deep dive into his trailer for the first time, which was actually my introductory video, I think, to his series. In there, he opened up one of his drawers he called the hardware store, and he had all those viewtainers all lined up. And I like organization like that anyway. That's very appealing to me. It's like sensory appeal. And so I see all of this organization, all these little viewtainers all lined up and everything. And I'm like, ooh, and then he said hardware store, and he showed it around, like, I gotta have one of those. And so I really prided myself, and when I did mine, I was able to gather all of my hardware together, sort it out, get these little 50-cent jars off of the internet, and do my own hardware store. And I'm very, very happy, very proud of it, but I'm very happy with it in the fact that it continually delivers so much that I continually call this thing the magic trailer, because most of the time when I need it, it's in there somewhere, in some way, shape, or fashion. It's in there. So the magic trailer. I also like the fact that I took the time to actually run the electric, so I have electric on board with this thing. I would love, marine batteries and all that kind of stuff to have actually just rolling self-sufficient power. I don't have that, but I do have the ability to roll my 100-foot 10-3 extension cord out, 20 amp, plug it into shore power, and then I have power on my trailer. I also like the fact that I have air on my trailer, although I am using air less and less now that I'm going extremely cordless, that I'm using air less and less. Eventually, these two things right here will be the only corded tools that I have that I'll actually take consistently with me. But well, that and a belt sander, because I don't know as there's anything on the horizon for belt sanders to be cordless and to be like 4x24 and have all that power. My extension cord and my air hose are on reels in the back, and they're very easy to roll out. I can shut and lock this thing up and leave the hose and the electric cord out. It doesn't interfere with my ability to lock this trailer up. I like that. Now, it's a pro. It's a single axle trailer. 3,500 pound axle. That's actually a con. That's on my con list. But my pro is I actually had that axle swapped out early this summer with a 5,000 pound axle. This trailer could have been ordered with a 5,000 pound axle, and so I was able to swap it out. And it cost me, well, the trailer itself was probably about $4,000 brand new, empty, and I had to spend about $2,500 2.5 years later to have the axle swapped out. But I'm very happy to do that because I was overweight by not much, but I was overweight and just I was bothered by that regardless of safety or anything else. That was just bothering me. And so now I'm underweight according to that, because the frame is not the structural issue, it was the axle. And I am confident now in that this trailer can't grow any. I'm exchanging tools out, but it can't really grow because I'm maxed out with tools. But I can put things in the aisle like my workbench, which is right over there, weighs about 100 pounds before the sawhorses. And I can put things in the aisle, I can put my tile tools in the aisle or whatever I want. So I have the ability to then kind of load more that's temporary and still tow with confidence, and it rides better. Love it. Rides better. It's very stiff. Okay, those are the pros that I can think of that I wrote on my little list here. Let me talk about the cons. So a pro is that it is actually a small trailer, but the con is it's a small trailer, and that's why I'm looking to upgrade at some point here, and probably in the next 2 years. It's a finance thing. I don't have the finances. The width, the 6-foot width. If this were 7 foot wide, it would probably be a much more convenient trailer, even at the 10-foot length, because the width then dictated the fact that I had this very narrow aisle. Because I have this very narrow aisle, that dictated that my large tool garage here had to be a vertical tool garage. It couldn't be horizontal. So that then dictated the entire design of this side. I made it work, I make it work, and it works very well, but it's probably not the design that I actually would sit down and organize for myself. Really appreciate the trailers that have these long drawers on the bottom that are 8 feet long, and you can have them over here and you can have them over here. I have a 6-foot drawer here and a 4-foot drawer over there on the redesign, and so I don't really have very, very long drawers, which would be nice for additional material, additional things, whatever I want. I would just appreciate having that. And one big thing, what my biggest con to this trailer, as far as I'm aware, is that I really don't have material on board. I have a huge hardware store, and I love that, but I would like to have, like Ron Paulk has, and Renovation and Repairs Richard out of Michigan, and I've seen other trailers with this too. Over here, because they can do this differently, they have a bank of drawers, maybe 3 or 4 drawers high, that are deep, maybe 8 feet deep. And Renovation and Repair guy, when he pulls his drawer out, maybe I'll try and get a screenshot and throw it in here. When he pulls his drawer out, he has like all these dividers, 8 feet of dividers with like plumbing parts, 2-inch, 1.25 inch, 1.5 P-traps, trap adapters, all the way down through. It's a rolling Home Depot for plumbing. And then he does the second drawer down, and it's a rolling Home Depot for electrical. And so he has all of his electrical stuff all lined up. And then he has one for painting. And then I can't remember what is in his last one, because he has 4. I think Ron has 3. So I would love to have that, because that would, I think, satisfy a lot of those materials needs. Now, I'm not talking about having 52x4s or sticks of trim or anything like that. I could certainly use the aisle if I'm like picking stuff up and going to a job, doing handyman things. Otherwise, if I'm on a bigger job, that stuff all gets delivered, so I don't have to worry about that. But I have taken advantage of most every square inch, most every cubic inch of this trailer at this point. With the size, with the width, and the fact that the height is only 6 feet. Now, I fit in there just fine, but I couldn't build higher. And if I could build higher, get that extra cabinet, like tool cubbies, I only have 2 tool cubbies, but the Smart Trailer actually has 3. And so you have a tool cubby 1, which is what I have. I have tool cubby 3, but tool cubby 2, which is a blend of the 2. It has the depth of the top one, and it has the height of the bottom one, more or less. And so, you then have 1/3 more abilities to store tools. And for me, I am at max. So that is a huge con at this moment, in the fact that with the amount of tools that I have, that I am at max. My tool cubbies are maxed out. I have often, for a while now, I have had 2 tool cubbies that I have 2 tools in. So I'll have a drill in the back and a driver forward, pointing together so they kind of lock each other in so they don't fall out. And I have that in many of those cubbies. My sawzalls, my reciprocating saws, are stacked top and bottom with a little actual vertical, with a horizontal divider and a vertical cubby. So I can have both of those in a single slot and not take up more space. And I've done that with my sanders and a couple of other things besides. So I'm taking advantage of being innovative to try and make everything fit. But I'm at the point now to where I buy a tool, something has to come out, or for a little while, that tool may just ride in here. Because there's really nowhere else for it to go, so I'll just let it ride in there. For a while, I had to have my power plane riding there, because I didn't have a place for the power plane. But I went in, I rearranged all my cubbies, came up with a couple of those kind of horizontal dividers to give myself like a top and bottom space in a single cubby, and that allowed me to then reintegrate my power plane back into my cubbies. But I'm at max, so that's a con. That's a pro, but it's a con in the fact that I've got a lot of tools, and they're all stored in here, but I'm at max, and so it's a swap out thing. There you go. That's my pros and my cons for this kind of smart trailer. I love it. I love the idea. If I had gone with another idea, I'm sure I would have loved that too, but this is the one I landed on, and oh my gosh. And you open this thing up and people want tours of it. It's gotten me a little work. I will say that this actually has gotten me work just by opening it up and people see it. And, hey, Bill, you got to come over and check this guy's trailer out. And so I come over, and because of the work I'm doing and because of the trailer that I built out, then all of a sudden Bill's calling me up and say, hey, I got some things for you to do. And, besides all the big jobs, right? So I love the trailer. It's just that it needs to be a little bit bigger. I'd like wider, I'd like longer. So what is my ideal trailer? Well, I don't know, really, because this is the only one I've ever owned. Ron has an 8x12, and he makes that work with all of his stuff. Well, you know, he has a lot more than I do, but he makes it all fit in his trailer as well. Ideally, I guess, the 8-foot wide, which allows me to reconfigure this side, gives me the aisle space that I need, so I could really do a smart trailer. If I wanted to replicate it, I'd probably modify it, because I like a lot of the things that I've done for my hardware store that Ron didn't. But with that, I would essentially, I guess, perfect trailer would be 8 feet wide, or the 8.5 feet wide. It would be 12 feet long, no longer than 14, but I probably could get away with a 12 at that point. But I would want the 7-foot height, or if they have a little bit, maybe a 7.6, if they have that, I would love to do that, because that would allow me to go vertical to the point of where I, short little Hobbit Spence, I would need to probably have a 2-foot step stool in there to get like to the top cubbies. I'm okay with that. That's, you know, I got to use 2-foot steps all the time to do stuff. So that wouldn't bother me at all. And so that would be my ideal trailer. That would give me my redesign over here. It would give me my long drawers. My long drawers would give me my material. Yay. I would have 3 cubbies, not 2, so that expands. Not only would those cubbies would become 8 feet long, not 6.5 feet long, which are what my cubbies are. And so not only would I grow that way, so I have 8 feet, not 6.5, but I also had the 3rd cubby. I had that middle cubby. And so then that, again, 1/3 more tools. And so I don't have to cram things in. Everything can kind of have its own home. I can spread it all out. On a new trailer, I'd love a backup camera. I'd love external floodlights for working, you know, when it gets dark out, to have floodlights on. And I would like to have marine deep cycle batteries. I would like to have a solar system, and I would like to have the stand-on ceiling as far as the planking, and I want ladder racks as well. And so it really is a 100% self-sufficient outfit that I can pull up in with ladders, with the onboard power, with the solar, you know, to kind of trickle down to the batteries and charge my, you know, charge actually my 20 volts and 60 volts and all of that. I can live with this trailer for 2 more years, because it's not hard to live with this trailer. And I would look forward to the next one. Matter of fact, I'm already preparing for that next one, and I'm getting ready to do an 8-foot, a full 8-foot router jig to build those cubbies, to actually do all of those slots every 2 inches. They're 1/4 inch wide, all of those slots to receive the dividers. So I'm getting ready to do that divider, because I'm going to get ready to actually do 6-foot cubbies, 3 of them, in my walkout basement, which is right behind the camera. And I'm going to keep that jig, and I'm going to use that when I go to build the new trailer, and I will actually have 8-foot cubbies at that point. And I probably will actually do 1-inch slots. So I will do all the 2-inch stuff, and then I'll slide it 1 inch, index it, and then do all of that again. And so every 1 inch I could have the ability to adjust over, to really dial it in and maximize the entire cubby space 1 inch at a time instead of every 2 inches at a time. There you go, folks. Pros and cons of having a small smart trailer. So a smart trailer. However, I know they come 5x8, and so I guess that's the incredibly small, so the iSmart. I don't have those. I couldn't function out of those even if I tried at this point. So with me, a little bit bigger is better. I know a lot of people have the philosophy of, you know, like Ron, if you need a 12, do it in a 10. If you need a 10, do it in an 8. I'm thinking, I'm doing it in a 10. I want a 12. So bigger, a little bit bigger is better. And I've never complained that bigger is better, but I don't want to get nuts. I need to be able to move this thing around, and parking this thing in my back area here, that's a very strong consideration. This is easy to get in, easy-ish, because I have a fence and I have some telephone poles and I have a very narrow alley and a very narrow way to pull in. And now I've done this elaborate rock wall that is now in the way of swinging wide. So when I get a new trailer, I'm going to have to strongly think about that. And actually, one of my answers to that is going to be a trailer valet. And so I'm going to have the ability to get my trailer kind of in, unhook it, hook up the trailer valet, and then move it into place and actually get it exactly where I want it when I have it long-term storage. For me, long-term is a week or longer. It's in long-term storage. Then I'm going to roll out the electric. I'm going to plug it in, do the batteries, get it cleaned out, all that kind of stuff if it's just hanging out at my house for a week or longer. Thanks for sticking with me. I really appreciate you kind of hanging out, listening to the pros and cons. Maybe it'll help you with your decision. Please leave comments or questions down below. I try and respond to every one of them. I'm small enough and I get so few comments that I can keep up with them at this point. So I'd love to respond to your comments. Beyond that, like I said, like and subscribe. Help me grow the subscriber base, reach more people, so I can share ideas that I've practically stolen from everybody anyway. So I just want to recirculate these ideas and get those things out there because I've very much benefited from our community. So with that, share the video if you know somebody out there who might benefit from listening to I'm on the fence with a whatever, and well, here's a guy that's done it in a 10 and with a 6 foot and a 6 foot, and he can give you the skinny on that one. All right, hey folks, thank you very much. You take care. Have a great one.